In his annual end-of-the-year interview with Michigan's governor, political reporter Rick Alvin sat down with Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garlin Gilchrist to talk about their first term in office.
We start as they reflect on things that didn't get done this year.
What are the things that you would have liked to have seen happen this year that didn't happen?
You know, I was hoping that the legislature would work with me to increase the earned income tax credit. That is an opportunity for people who are working hard, who have families, to keep some more money in their pocket. There was a lot of conversation and talk about giving people some relief, but I was hoping that they would actually get back to the table and negotiate. They decided not to do a whole lot in lame duck. That's fine. We'll get to work as soon as the first of the year happens. We've already had conversation with Senate Majority Leader-elect Winnie Brinks and Speaker-elect Joe Tate. We are confident that as we go into next year, we're going to be aligned in giving people relief, whether it is the pension tax repeal or it is a working family tax credit. These are ways that we can help put more money in people's pockets at a time when too many are struggling to pay the bills.
Talk to me, Lieutenant Governor, about the new makeup in the Senate, because you've obviously been there for 4 years with Republicans in control. Democrats take control, but it is a narrow control, as it is in the House. And Governor, as you know, from serving in both bodies, it was related to me one time by a former Speaker of the House that trying to keep everybody in the House together was like herding minnows. And so...
it's even harder than cats.
Yeah, that's right. So how difficult is it going to be to keep everybody together?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we are, and the incoming senators and this incoming majority is eager to be in this position for the first time in 40 years in Michigan, and sees that as an opportunity. Now, we also know that this majority was delivered by the voters because they wanted to see continued progress in the way we've approached leading here in Michigan, which has been focused on problem solving and being practical and focused on these fundamentals of infrastructure and education. And I think the Senate majority is going to do that. Now, in terms of how they manage being in the majority, I think everyone's going to take some getting used to. But I do know that the priorities are clear, that these people are going to represent their districts well, and that people elected us to do the work on continuing to make roads safe, to make water clean, to make sure that we can build on this economic development momentum and job creation momentum. And so I'm excited to continue to work with the Senate. And you know, the truth is, a lot of the stuff we're going to do in that chamber is still going to be bipartisan because we represent all of Michigan. And I think that we agree that we need to keep investing in education. We agree we need to keep investing in water and protecting our natural resources. And we agree that we keep needing to invest in job creation. And so I think there's going to be a greater sense of collaboration, certainly between us on this side of the street and across the street, but also the chamber is going to be more collaborative as well.
Governor, 4 years ago or thereabouts, it came up in my memories not long ago, you and I were in a building across the way talking about what you would do when you first became governor. And you said something to the effect, you had talked to one of your colleagues, and it was the things that you don't expect. Those are the things that kept you awake at night because you don't know what to expect. Fortunately, you've had a very smooth 4 years.
Uneventful.
Very uneventful. But I think there'd be a lot of people that don't even remember the polar vortex. I mean, that was maybe one of the first challenges.
3 weeks in.
Yeah, you faced, and it was a real deal.
Yeah.
Give me your perspective on these last 4 years, understanding that as part of the election cycle and as part of the conversation, there are people who have disagreed with you about the way you've handled a number of things, including the pandemic response. But give me your take on those 4 years.
Well, you know, I think we've had unprecedented challenges. You know, I don't think there's another administration in history that's had to deal with as many. Every administration has crises that they have to confront. It's just life, right? And having leadership that tries to get the best information and make the hard calls in a timely way, I think has been really important. Despite all these challenges, you know, pandemic and 500-year flooding events and having to evacuate a whole city in the middle of all of this, to threats, to divisive elections. I mean, it's been a lot that we've had to confront, and the polar vortex as well, as you mentioned. And yet, you know, we were just reelected by an even bigger margin than when we were elected 4 years ago, and that was pretty historic at the time. So we don't use any, you know, over-the-top language. We're going to stay focused on, this is an affirmation of the fact that we're focused on the right things. helping every person get ahead, making sure Michigan's a great place to do business and to invest, ensuring that our young people will stay in Michigan. This is what drives so much of the work that we are doing, and it will continue to do so. There will be crises in the next term. Let's just hope that they don't even come close to what we've just worked through.
Governor, Lieutenant Governor, I thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Rick.
And you can see Rick's full interview with Governor Whitmer this weekend on To the Point.